Hey everyone, it's Sandy from By the Lakeside. In this video, I'm inviting you into our kitchen for a week of family dinners for four. I hope you find some inspiration for those nights that you just don't know what to make, which is where I find myself very often. So welcome to the By the Lakeside kitchen. It is Wednesday night and we are having one pot chicken and sage dumplings for dinner. It's a recipe I found on the Half Baked Harvest website. I saw her making it on her Instagram account last week and it looked so delicious and it seemed like the perfect cold and cozy fall day to make it. I've never made chicken and dumplings before, but one of the things that I try to do, if I'm up to it, when I'm doing my weekly meal planning, I like to include one brand new recipe. It could be from internet, something I saw that week, or it could be from one of my cookbooks, which I do collect. So it just keeps things a little bit interesting for me in the kitchen to try something new, and I think everyone else enjoys having a bit of variety in the menu too. The nice thing I noticed about filming my meal prep this week is that I was a lot more organized in the kitchen. I've got all my ingredients prepped and ready to go, which is really tidy. And I've just seasoned my chicken with salt and pepper, and I'm going to brown it in my big pot on the stove in a little bit of olive oil. And then I'm going to add the chopped onions, carrots, celery, and let that soften for a little bit. Once the vegetables have softened and the chicken is nicely browned on all sides, I pour in the chicken broth, put the lid on, and let that simmer away for a little while. And now I move on to the dumplings. It's a really simple recipe, not too many ingredients, but there is fresh chopped sage and a handful of Parmesan cheese, which makes them so delicious. I've been really enjoying this Danish dough hook that I got recently. It's really handy to whisk doughs up, and I find that it works a little bit better than my traditional whisk, which usually gets all the dough caught into the metal part. So I'm really enjoying this, and I will put a link below to where I got mine. Removed the cooked chicken from the broth and set it aside to cool down for a bit. Made sure that the broth came back to a boil. And now I'm just dropping in by spoonful my dumplings. Put the lid on and cooked for a few minutes. They are looking really good. Ready to spoon it up, dish it out for everyone. This is a dish we all really loved, and I saved the recipe because I will definitely be making this one again. It is Thursday night, and we are having one of our go-to traditional family dinners, which is Italian sausages and roasted oven potatoes, all done on one pan, so it's an easy tray bake kind of dinner. So I'm just starting with the potatoes, and I'm cutting them into wedges and spreading them out on my baking stone. Then I'm going to season them with olive oil, salt, pepper, some dried oregano, dried parsley. Sometimes we add some crushed garlic, but I didn't do that this time. And I just make sure that they are all coated evenly and mixed up well before putting them in the oven. So I've preheated my oven to 385 degrees on convection, and I've popped in my tray bake there, and I will check it about 25 to 30 minutes later and flip around the sausages and some of the potatoes just to make sure that all the sides are browned, and then cook for another 15 minutes, or just until everything is really nicely browned. I also decided to make an acorn squash as our vegetable tonight. So I've cut it in half and taken the seeds out, and I've just drizzled it with a little bit of olive oil, putting some maple syrup in the center with a pat of butter, some salt and pepper, and I will put that in the oven for about 35 minutes in the same oven. is Saturday, and on Friday nights we order in takeout, so it's a bit of a break, and I didn't have anything to record. But it is a new day, and it is early in the day, and I've decided that we haven't had our homemade granola in quite a while, so I'm using my favorite recipe as a base, which is from a Barefoot Contessa cookbook, and I usually just follow along for the major ingredients and then use whatever I have and whatever we like as some of the extras. I've got some dried apricots. I usually really love dried cranberries, but I ran out of those. So I'm just getting all of the oats and coconut stirred up together, adding in the almonds, and then I will put the bit of oil and honey into the mixture and get that ready for the oven. It is early afternoon, but I've decided to get my dinner started a little bit early tonight, or today, because it is a vegetable stew, and the longer it sits on the stove, the better, in my opinion. This is a Swiss chard stew. It's vegetarian, and it's a recipe from my mom that I remember really enjoying, and I've made it a few times on my own. It's not quite as good as hers yet, but I'm still working on perfecting it. I started out with my big pot again with some olive oil, and I added in a chopped onion and a couple of cloves of garlic. I think I might have used 3 chopped up. I let those simmer away for a few minutes, and then I added all of the other chopped vegetables, carrots, celery, and a red pepper. And I let those cook until they're softened. And now I'm just adding a jar of tomato passata. I actually use 2 jars for this recipe, and you do need to use some water to thin out the sauce a little bit. And so I've just put some into the jar and shaken it around so that you are getting all of that goodness out of the jar. I'm just going to stir that all up, add my seasonings, and put the lid on to let that simmer for a few more minutes. To go along with our Swiss chard vegetable stew, because let's face it, how much of that are the boys really going to be eating? Not too much. I am making some oven roasted chicken wings, which is a favorite of the kids, and especially with this lemon pepper seasoning. James requested it, so that's what we're having tonight. I just drizzled them with some olive oil and pop them in the oven at 375 degrees convection bake for about 45 minutes or until they are cooked through and really crispy. I've just set the oven a little bit lower to warm up some bread, and this was our dinner. It is Monday night, and I skipped filming on Sunday because there might have been a burger drive-thru for lunch, and we had lots of leftovers for dinner. So it's Monday now, and I am making another family favorite, which I don't make too often because it does create a little bit of a mess in the kitchen. We are having homemade fish and chips tonight. So I'm getting started with the chips, or the fries, that I'll be doing in the oven. And I've just preheated the oven to, I think it was 400 degrees. And I've sliced up my potatoes, small as I can manage without cutting my fingers off, and drizzled with olive oil and seasoned with salt and pepper. And I will pop those in the oven next. I'm ready to start the batter for the fish, and I found the best recipe for that in this Jamie Oliver book called Jamie's Dinners. It is just his basic fish and chips recipe, and I don't have beer at the moment, so yeah, I'm using LaCroix. It is a lime flavor, and it worked out perfectly fine. So I've salted my cod fillets and cut them into smaller pieces, and just let them sit for a little bit. Jamie says that when you salt your cod, it drains a little bit of the water out of them. And I'm just dipping them into the batter and frying them in my big pot again. I've really been using this pot a lot this week. It is Tuesday night, and I am very happy to be using my Instant Pot this night. I love using my Instant Pot or my slow cooker at least once a week if I can. It just makes for a bit of a relaxing day where I can pop things into the machine and not worry about it. It also is a breeze to clean up. So tonight I am making an amazing dish that I found on the Skinny Taste website. It is called beef, tomato, and Acini de Pepe soup. You can do it in the Instant Pot, on your stovetop, or in your slow cooker. But I'm using my Instant Pot because I love it. I've prepped all of my veg to go into the Instant Pot once the meat, the ground beef, has been browned. I'm using the saute function for everything, and when that is cooked down a little bit, I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. It is so easy. It's a can of diced tomatoes, some beef broth, and I don't usually have homemade beef broth sitting around, but I really love this better than bouillon that I found at the grocery store. It is really tasty. So I've added in the bay leaf and rest of the ingredients. I will put the lid on, cook that for 35 minutes, and I did use the manual function here, but then I realized later I should have used the soup function. I don't know if it makes a difference. Everything turned out fine. And I will cook that for 35 minutes, and when the steam releases, I will put in the pasta, cook for a few more minutes, and dinner will be done.